Hi, I'm Robert Reed, Senior Warden for the 2020 Vestry at St. James's. Last year, our annual meeting was held in our sanctuary, approximately 2.5 weeks before life as we knew it abruptly came to change. During his remarks, our Senior Warden, Trey Sibley, made the following comment. I've mentioned the challenges we know we confront in 2020, but there are challenges we don't yet know about. Hopefully, they won't be as severe as the ones that our vestry confronted in 1994, but whatever they may be, I'm happy to report that we are on firm footing to meet them. Trey was spot on with his prediction of unexpected challenges, almost as if he knew. Thankfully, he was also absolutely correct that St. James's was well positioned to confront any challenge God set before us. We have faced unprecedented challenges this last year that forced us to rethink the way we approach community and worship. As a congregation, we have met these challenges with grace and faith. We have learned that the body of Christ, of which we are each a member, is not dependent upon physical space and proximity, but on our love for each other. COVID-19 calls upon us to look out for each other in ways that are new and uncomfortable. We have altruistically donned masks to prevent the potential spread of the contagion to our family, friends, and neighbors. We have distanced ourselves from each other to avoid transmission. We have stopped communal singing to prevent throwing the virus further through the air. We have stopped gathering in large numbers to prevent super spreader events. We have had almost a full year of sacrifice to protect each other's health and safety. We have made these sacrifices because we want to be able to pass the peace with every one of our fellow congregants this time next year. Now, our sacrifices have carried us through to a new chapter in which more and more of us are protected from the frightening consequences of this disease. We are so close. Many of you have started getting the vaccine, and many more of us will get the vaccine in the coming months. We are only months away from an environment where all of us can feel more safe coming to church together. In time, the desire for communal worship will not have to give way to the fear of inflicting harm on those we love. So I first want to applaud your understanding and vigilance this year as we have navigated through so many unknowns and dangers. We have accomplished so much as a community despite the challenges imposed by COVID-19. Our clergy and staff successfully transitioned to producing incredible and moving live broadcast worships and pre-recorded services. I commend our production crews for their services and making this possible and excelling in their work. I also wish to recognize our return to worship team, comprised of medical experts and operations professionals who helped guide us as we sought to host in-person services and activities, beginning with the wonderful service at Rock Bottom and carrying through to newly consecrated St. Francis open-air chapel in the side parking lot. More recently, many of us have been able to attend house church services hosted at the homes of our fellow congregants. Just as our congregation is defined by our love for each other more than by the physical space we occupy, we are also defined by being doers in our community. We did not let the pandemic stop us from taking action. Over the summer, many of us were moved to join Hillary Striever in the Racial Justice and Reconciliation Committee to explore ways in which St. James's can take stock of its past and seek a more just society in the future. Still others have been actively exploring ways in which St. James's can connect more deeply with each other and can be more inviting to the wider world through the Invite, Welcome, Connect Committee. There are many among us who create opportunities for engagement within St. James's, but I would like to bring specific attention to Lee Holcher and Andy Bennett, who, as vestry members, seem to have more hours in the day than the rest of us. They devoted countless hours to organizing ministries that connect and build our community. For example, the IWC ministry delivered approximately 1,000 Christmas cards to members of our congregation. On this foundation, we will come out of the pandemic heavily engaged and ready to do the work of making this a welcoming community to all newcomers and to those who are ready to return. Becky Page and Mary Beth Alpenap have been instrumental through the pandemic in finding new ways to keep our children and youth engaged in their faith. Becky provided Christ-centered activities for our families with children to do at their own convenience at home. Mary Beth kept up the lines of communication with her youth groups. She also developed and ran what could be described as St. James's signature pandemic program, the Church Virtual School, or CVS. This has given middle and high school students a space on our campus to attend their virtual schools, but together in a safe environment. The positive impact of her ministry to those students is evident when you scroll through the CVS Instagram feed. Though our ability to gather together to celebrate has been muted, we did have much growth to celebrate this last year. The Associate Clergy Search Committee reconvened over the summer to identify a candidate who could fill that much-needed position supporting John and Hillary. We were successful in attracting Blake Singer, a Duke Divinity graduate from a nearby church, to be a lay assistant and chaplain for community life, discipleship, and service. St. James's will have the opportunity to sponsor Blake and his wife, Kilpie, through their ordinations. We also hired a long-sought communications director, having needed look no further than the pews for Jay Sandusky. Even before coming on board, he had provided invaluable insight into the redevelopment of our website and our broader communication strategies. We also brought on new assistants, Mary Brown, Louis Wallenhorst, and Donna Horizon, to help our clergy operations and stewardship teams. Just as we welcome so many faces, we are saddened to see others depart this year. Tom Blair announced his retirement. We appreciate the leadership he provided through our transition in 2016 and his contributions to our Christian fellowship and formation through his Bible studies. Mark Cooper also announced he's taking a step back, and we will be dearly miss his inspired and plain-spoken wisdom. Among the staff, Nancy Warman has also announced her retirement after 14 years as our Director of Servant Ministry. She has been responsible for coordinating and distributing so much of the good that St. James's has delivered to so many throughout Richmond. Suzanne Hall has also decided it's time to retire after 5 years as our Stewardship Director, carrying us through a period of unprecedented growth. We must all appreciate the sacrifices Doria Rohn and Laura Schuford made because we could not keep them while we were displaced from our facilities during the pandemic. Finally, Donna Ellis gave us her all, more than we had right to ask, over the last couple of years, and she deserves our fullest gratitude. As was said last year, St. James's was on firm footing to meet any challenge. That is because of you. Our finance ministry, which remains under the capable direction of Susan Coogan, took steps over the past year to create more robust rules and protocols for the handling of church resources that will keep us in line with nonprofit institution best practices for years to come. In order to weather the early uncertainty of the COVID pandemic, the church implemented major expense controls, delayed hiring decisions, and instituted a spending freeze. The finance team was able to quickly and successfully apply for an early and fully forgiven PPP loan, which will allow us to go into 2020 in a stable financial position. As valuable as these actions were to ensuring our financial stability, your generosity and support, particularly those who gave beyond their pledges last year, carried us through. In the meantime, we have also focused on other long-term initiatives, including a restructure of our benefits packages to align with diocesan standards while realizing budget savings for years down the road. Michael Smith, who completed his first full year as Chief of Operations during the pandemic, will continue to reconfigure the roles and responsibilities of our staff so we're ready to hit the ground running as we come out of this difficult time. In the end, despite all we have been through, we will enter 2021 with a surplus for the second year in a row. We will have the ability to add to our much-needed reserve fund and offset budget constraints in the coming year. My sincerest thanks goes out to Ann Rawls, Scott Ukrup, and Cheryl Goudry for the dedication to annual giving they gave this year, without which no amount of firm footing would keep us upright. It was a tough year for that job, but with their help and your commitment, the average pledges actually increased. No doubt we will have a tighter budget in the next year, but we're also faring better than many of us thought we would 9 months ago. I wish to thank our vestry for their commitment over this past year. We were blessed to have so many dedicated servants who were willing to invest so much time in so many imperative areas of our church life. Sherwood Bowditch has been invaluable as a member of our vestry as the junior warden, and I wish to thank him specifically for all that he has given of himself to me and to this institution. I also wish to give my sincerest thanks to Pierce Rucker for his service to the vestry this past year, and we wish him well as he focuses on his health. We've all been inspired by his Christ-centered wisdom and his abiding faith. I also wish to thank you for putting your trust in the vestry to see St. James's through this unanticipated disaster. There is much to do to get ready for 2021. The return to worship, the challenge of filling the pews, the reconnection with each other, lagging financial impacts, the urgency of increased poverty in our city, and the hard work of seeking a more just society. Thankfully, we are blessed as a congregation of doers who stand upon firm footing to meet any challenge before us. It has been a distinct honor and privilege to serve as your senior warden, particularly with this vestry as talented and faithful as it is, and such a dedicated clergy and staff. Blessed be St. James's Episcopal Church.